Hey there, and welcome to the latest episode of the Mind Body Health Podcast with myself, Dave Sheahan, high performance consultant and dedicated now for over 25 years to educating, motivating, and I do truly hope inspiring you to live your best life, to evolve into the best version of you, and to ultimately create happiness in your life, because happiness is all that actually matters and all that should matter in your life. And the Mind Body Health Podcast is very much focused on giving you all that you need, the tools, the strategies, the insights, the inspiration to actually go out there and create that life that you desire and to create happiness, because you every single day have the beautiful, precious opportunity to take positive action towards evolving to the best version of yourself, and then also designing, creating, and literally laying the bricks of the life vision that you have, because your vision that you have for your life is what you can have. We can be, do, see. We can be, do, experience anything we want in life. We just have to put the work in. We have to believe in our vision. We have to have that vision. We have to move forward consistently to get there. And we have to make sure that obstacles and challenges don't stop us getting there, which is often what happens to people. But that's where it comes down to your mindset. Your mindset is everything. And, this is the Mind Body Health Podcast. And of course, we speak about mind and body and health and many other things, but nearly everything always comes back to mindset. Everything comes back to your mind and your positive mental attitude and just the way your thought process is and just how strong your mind is. And it's important to build up those calluses in the mind. It's important to build up that strength in it. And it's a daily process. And people often think that it's a case of you get to a point where, you have a strong mindset and you're there. It doesn't work that way. It's a lifelong process. Like I've been working on myself now for 27 years at this stage. Every single day, every day committed to evolving into the best version of myself, every day working on my mindset, feeding my mind what it needs. It's an everyday process and it'll continue till my last breath, and it needs to for you too. So don't have this impression that in case you get to a point where you have a strong mindset and that's it and you're there. No, you have to still work hard to keep it there, because life can be challenging. Life can be tough. People are tough as well to deal with. And it only takes a millisecond for you to go from feeling really, really good and being a good mindset to feeling really, really low and down and being in a bad mindset. And the trick is how you manage your emotional state. And that then in turn has a huge impact on how your mind works. So, your mind is the control tower. So let's make sure that we're strengthening it every day. We often focus on how we need to be exercising our body, whether we do it or not. You need to be doing the exact same with your mind. It's every bit as important to exercise your mind. It's actually more important, because your mind will determine everything. The mind-body connection is huge in terms of even for exercise, even just to go exercise, and even just the completion of exercise programs. It's down to your mindset, because your mind will determine, again, the whole nervous system and how you're feeling and your emotions and your mood and your energy and your motivation to even do things. So keep working on your mind, okay? So like on the Mind Body Health Podcast, we're committed to doing everything we can to help you in your journey to the better life that you want and the life that you want and better you, the best version of you, because that's what we need to be working towards. On this particular podcast, I'm going to speak to you about an important topic of how to stop allowing fear be the main driver of your life. Is fear the main driver of your life? Has it been the main driver of your life up to this point? Is this something that is a main driver now and again? Was it a driver before? Not so much now. The reality is, for a vast majority of people, fear is the main driver of their life. And what do I mean exactly by that? Well, what I mean is, in every decision that one has to make in life, fear typically, for the majority of people, is what determines what their action and decisions will be. It even determines the thought process for a lot of people, because a lot of people live in a constant state of fear. They're afraid of absolutely everything, practically afraid of their shadow. And when you're afraid of everything, you ain't going to do anything to move your life forward, okay? So then it's the main driver of one's life. If you literally are afraid of everything, if you're always thinking of fear as opposed to excitement. So in every situation, let's take an opportunity. So if you've got an opportunity put onto your lap, something even you've been waiting for ages, after the initial excitement kind of subsides a bit, then fear always will start coming in. Fear in terms of, what if? Maybe it's not right for me. Maybe it won't work out. What if this happens? They're natural thoughts for everybody, doesn't matter who you are. But when you've got a good mindset, you can quickly adjust that and change that to focus instead on the good points, focus on the positive outcomes, focus on the excitement of what potentially lies ahead, all going well. It doesn't mean you're not mindful of the potential things that may not work out, but you're more putting more weight on positive outcomes as opposed to being fearful of the negative outcome, because more often than not, it'll be a positive outcome. Like every decision needs a kind of bit of a calculated decision and to look at both sides, pros, cons, all that sort of things. But ultimately, your gut will be your main driver. Your gut should be your driver, not fear. Like basically fear is false evidence appearing real, false evidence appearing real. So it's very important for us to to step away from fear in situations and instead step into excitement about the positive outcome that there may be. Because fear, as I said, literally drives people. Fear is what determines everything they do in their life. And fear is the main reason why most people end up taking their last breaths filled with so many regrets as they reflect on the life that they've had and they just think of what they should have done. What they should have done, decisions they shouldn't have made, decisions they should have made, people they should have spent more time with, people they should have spent less time with, risks, inverted commas, they should have taken, why they shouldn't have stayed in the safe zone all the time, and so on. So we need to stop letting fear be the driver because it's too much of a driver for us. Look at every situation. You've got people who are fearful of leaving unfulfilling, unhappy, possibly even abusive relationship because of fear of moving from familiarity. And this is especially kind of hard for most people to grasp in terms of if people are in like an abusive, unloving, unfulfilling, unhappy relationship. But people like familiarity. And this is why people let fear control them. People let fear control them because they're more comfortable in familiarity, in familiar surroundings. Even if those familiar surroundings don't serve them, and even if those familiar surroundings are damaging them and hurting them, people, for the most part, will still stay there as opposed to stepping out of the fear and away from the fear and moving into a zone that has so much promise and so much potential happiness, more fulfillment, but it still will stay in the safe zone. That happens so often. The same with people stepping into relationship. Again, there's fear of what if, like before happens, like other relationships. What if it's not the right one, the right person, and all this kind of stuff. So people have fears about relationships where people step out of or just step into. It's the same thing with people's jobs and careers and businesses and, anything like that related to your professional life. People will be in a job and they absolutely despise it. And they say all the time, I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this 6 months. I'm going to leave this at the end of the year. I'm going to leave this when I'm 25, 35, 45. The time comes to leave. No, to keep putting up with it. They keep putting up with the shit. They keep putting up with being unhappy. They keep putting up with every day desperately hoping Friday's coming and living for Friday. Like if you're working and you're living for Friday, you're not living a fulfilling life. You're living a life that's just not nice, not fun, and one that's drudgery for you every single day. But again, for so many people, they will stay in that job despite literally hating it in some situations because of the fear of what if they leave that job and they can't get another job? What if they leave that job and they can't get another job with the same kind of pay? What about if this happens, that happens? All that should matter is you're in a situation that's unhappy, unfulfilling. You don't feel accomplished in it. You feel there's much more to life. Staying in that position, that's the risk. This is the whole irony of when people see, stepping forward as being a risk. Staying where you are is the risk. That's always the risk. Whether that be in a relationship that's not fulfilling for you, whether it be in a job that you do not like, whether it be even in a business that you're running that doesn't fulfill you and is just too stressful for you, and maybe you're not even suited to be an entrepreneur and self-employed. In any situation, when you're not happy, you need to move away from it because the ultimate goal in life should always be happiness for everybody. Happiness should be your goal. Every single day you open your eyes, your heart beats, your lungs breathe oxygen. Your sole goal, your sole mission, purpose in that day should be to take steps towards what will bring happiness to you. Because life is short and life will move fast and time keeps ticking. And think about how the hell are the last 5 years gone, last 10 years gone, 20 years gone, depending on what age you are. It's gone damn fast. Even the past week, it's fast, okay? Time is fast. So why waste any of it? It's too precious. But people don't stop and think like that. People just stay in the hamster wheel, stay where they are, keep going around in circles, keep playing the excuse, blame, complaining, bitching, moaning, justification of poor actions, all that kind of mode, all that zone, all that mindset. To stay in that as opposed to taking the inverted commas risk and moving to something that could be better. And we need to change that. We need to step away from the fear. We need to stop fear driving our decisions. So many people will let fear take over. They won't leave relationships. They won't get into relationships. They won't leave jobs. They won't go into jobs. Every kind of aspect of their life, again, fear is what's driving them. Even with friendships, they won't end supposed friendships that don't serve them anymore. They're afraid to go into other friendships, like they're putting up walls. Some people, in life, they get, a lot of knockbacks, they get a lot of hurt. And to deal with that, they put up a wall. The thing is about a wall, it stops bad stuff getting in, true, but also stops good stuff getting in too. So walls are never good. It's more a case of being wiser. Be wiser to reality, be wiser to what's going on, be wiser to what your values and truths are and your beliefs, and make sure you align with people who align with your values and beliefs. That's kind of what's most important. Be always, tuned into what your life vision is. What is it you want out of life? What do you want to see yourself doing? Who do you want to see yourself with? What type of person? How do you want to see yourself, even how you look physically, how you feel, all that kind of thing. What kind of person do you want to be? And then every single day, take steps towards becoming that person, creating that reality. This is the power we all have, every single one of us. We all can live the lives we want, but we have to take the action on it. And we have to stop letting fear be our driver. Fear stops everything. How many people are filled with regrets? Even for you now, think about your life up to this point. How many things do you regret doing or not doing? You can go either way. And it was fear that led you doing it or not doing it. How many times? I'm sure there's many, right? So think about those times and think about how it made you feel when the fear stopped you from something better. You don't want that feeling again, do you? But unfortunately, most people keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. You need to stop allowing fear to be the main driver of your life. Stop being afraid of things. Stop being afraid of risk. It's like I said about people in a job staying in it and being afraid to leave it. Well, people getting opportunities for a better existence, a better job, better role, better, everything to do with that kind of area of your career, or an opportunity to start your own business or partner in a business or a kind of venture. And again, there's excitement initially when, that opportunity drops, but then fear takes over. And then again, it's all about what ifs and maybes. And God, what if it doesn't work out? So what if it doesn't work out? Aren't you better to have tried and give yourself the opportunity and the possibility of success and happiness and fulfillment than to not have tried it all and stay in a place where you are unhappy, unsuccessful, see yourself as unsuccessful, and you feel unfulfilled? Surely moving away from that is worth the chance, worth the risk, worth feeling the fear and do it anyway. This is the way you start thinking. You can always revert backwards anyway. You can always go backwards. This is why when people are afraid of stepping forward, it makes no sense, because you're stepping forward into potentially better. You don't step forward, you stay where you are, which is not nice, fun, fulfilling, or brings you happiness. It makes no sense. But what is holding you there? Fear. Fear is what's holding you there, and it makes no sense. Remember, false evidence appearing real is no different than what the media puts out incessantly. Always. It's fear, 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 fear. Like fear porn, you could pretty much call it. Because again, if people are afraid, they won't step out of where they are. They won't make more of themselves. When people are afraid, they're easier to control. Look throughout history. Look at all the times the masses of people, civilizations, cities, countries, and so on, where a small amount of people were able to control a gigantic number of people, all because they implemented fear. Because the masses let fear of what might happen stop them from doing the right thing. Let fear stop them from standing up for themselves. Let fear stop them from showing integrity. Let fear stop them from taking an action that would have changed the course of their lives in a positive sense. It's like even think of the Holocaust. How many Jews were in those concentration camps and how many German soldiers were in those concentration camps? I'm sure the numbers must have been 10, 20, 30, 100 to 1 potentially. But the Jews still didn't fight back. The Jews still didn't, take a chance and, unify and basically attack the Germans and stop the mass killings. They literally just lined up. They literally lined up to go into their debt because they were afraid of if they didn't, they might get shot. Well, I think I prefer to take the chance of getting shot, but also having a possibility of getting away or stopping it, than to literally just walk into my debt. But this is humans. This is a huge weakness and flaw that humans have. And we see it in many situations, like the Holocaust, only one of so many examples of this. We see it even the way governments run countries and the way basically it's just run it by fear. Small number of people making decisions, telling you what to do, and the masses doing it because they're afraid of what might happen if they don't. Also, another thing, afraid of what others might think. This is another important thing. Fear, this was one I hadn't thought of, but it's really, really important. Fear of what other people think of you. This is another thing that stops people, and this is another thing that drives people's lives. And you know what? It's probably the biggest driver in most people's lives, what other people think of them, and not doing things because they're afraid of what other people think of them. So once again, fear is the main driver. Now, when you're living your life based on the opinions of others, you're really not living, and you're really not free in any sense whatsoever. Your life is being led by your perception of what other people will think of you, how they will react to you. How idiotic is that when you think about it? In every decision, people will determine what they'll wear in terms of their clothes, the shoes they'll have, the hairstyle they'll have, what they'll say, what they'll do, decisions they'll make, opinions they'll share, everything. Most people, their first thought with any of these things is, what would that person think? What will they think? What will generally people think? What will they think when they see me, when they hear me? Oh, they mightn't agree with me. This is what people think, all fear-based. How about integrity? How about honesty? How about being authentic? How about being true to your own self? How about being true to your own values and beliefs? Surely that should be far more important than anything else. Stop worrying about what other people think of you. I'm honestly telling you, if you get to a point where you do not care what other people think of you, it is truly a superpower. It is truly a superpower. You really then can do and have and experience all you want in life. Because until you get to a point of true self-love and truly embracing who you are and truly not giving a shit what other people think of you and your opinions and what you do, you will always be chained by fear. You will always hold yourself back by fear. And it's so important to step away from that. So that's another element of fear that people use to stop them doing things, and where fear directs their life. And it's probably the biggest one. Be honest about it, that's actually the biggest one. There are situations people let fear beat them, but in terms of your opinion of other people, or what you think of other people's opinion of you, that's probably the biggest fear people have. It's like even people fear speaking in public more than death. That's actually statistically a fact, which is insane, right? Death is pretty final. Speaking in public, you can get over it and life goes on. But anyway, people fear it more. But why do people fear it? They fear because they fear being the person that everyone's looking at. They mightn't think you look good. They mightn't like what you're wearing. They might like your accent. They might like your skin color. They mightn't like what you're saying. They might like the way you're saying it. You mightn't do as good a job as you'd like to. So again, that bothers you in terms of what people might think of that. Fear, again, is determining what you're doing. Does that make sense to you? So, the thing that we fear more than death, it's literally fear as a driver, and illogical, irrational fear. Because again, who cares what anyone thinks? Who cares what people think of you? Who cares what people think of what you're wearing, how your hair is, what your skin is, what you're saying? Be authentic, be true to yourself. Show integrity, show honesty, be yourself, always be yourself. Okay. So, fear, as I said, controls the world. Fear is a big reason why most people do all the things they're doing. Fear is a reason why small numbers of people can control the masses. Like even take a ton of sheep and a sheepdog, right? Or a wolf or anything. You could have 100 sheep and one dog can control those sheep. Why? Because they're afraid of him. They're afraid of him. That's one against potentially 100. You see it in every kind of situation. People and all beings are afraid of standing up, speaking out, doing what's right far too often. Do what's right for them. Like, what's right for you. And this is where I'm sure you've had many times in the past, and you have times now even, where your gut is screaming at you, and basically what you're thinking and what you're doing is conflicting against your gut. Your gut's your internal GPS. This is why when you have an opportunity, when you're making a decision, and you're feeling a bit of fear about it, again, it's a bit natural, like doubt. It's natural. It's not a bad thing. It's just a natural thing to happen. But tune into your gut. See what your gut's telling you to do. And whatever your gut's telling you to do is usually the right thing to do. And that's where you should feel the fear and do it anyway. That's where I'm saying to you, it's not like every time you get an opportunity, just step into it and only see the positive outcome. Because when you only ever see the positive outcome and you never see the opposite, that's not good either. Again, it's about having a balanced view. Look at every situation and look at the pros and cons of each, and then make your own decision on it. It's never good to be overly optimistic, just like it's never good to be overly pessimistic. It's trying to find the right kind of balance, okay? Like have a positive mental attitude in general, have an optimistic attitude in general, definitely side towards that. But at the same time, balance your emotions and things when they're getting a bit out of whack, whether they're going too high or whether they're going too low. And again, fear will play a big part in that. Fear will impact that massively, okay? So it's really important you stop letting fear be the main driver of your life, because all it's going to do is lead to regret. You're going to be left with so many regrets. And do you want that? Do you want a life that's filled with regrets? I very much doubt it. So, my message to you is that, false evidence appearing real is what fear stands for. False evidence appearing real. Because as well, like you're fearing and worrying something that hasn't happened yet. It may never happen. It's probably unlikely to even happen. Yet you're letting it control your energy and emotions in this present moment. Now, how crazy is that? And it won't literally be for a few moments. It won't just be for a day. It could be for days and days. It could be weeks and weeks, until that moment when you actually have to do something, if it's you're fearing something that you have to do, or up until that moment you make a decision when you're fearing making a decision. Look at the control it's having over your life and your energy and your emotions and your mindset. And that'll have a huge impact on those people around you as well. Do you want to continue living your life like this? Does it even make sense to live a life like that? It doesn't, does it? So stop letting fear run your life. Stop letting it run your life. Feel the fear and do it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? That's the question to ask yourself about everything. What is the worst that can happen? Always step forward. Always step forward. Because you're stepping into better. And surely stepping into better is worth taking the chance that maybe it might not be better, when the chances of not being better are fairly slim. So step forward. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Okay? And as I said, stop letting fear control your life. Stop letting fear direct your life. Stop letting fear be the main driver of your life. Okay? Do it. Take that chance. Take that risk. Go do it. What's the worst that can happen? Okay? So I hope this message has helped. It's a super important message. And also, like I said, make sure you drop the fear in terms of giving a shit what other people think. That will be a superpower. I cannot stress enough to you how much of a superpower that is. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mind Body Health Podcast. Do let us know your feedback. Contact us across all social media or on the website. Also, really would appreciate if you leave a rating and review on any of the podcasting platforms you listen to this on, or if you happen to watch this on YouTube, put a comment below. I'd love to get your feedback. I'd love to get your comments, love to get your questions, anything you'd like to add to the conversation. Do let me know. Remember the Mind Body Health Podcast is for you. It's not for me. It's just part of one of the tools that I use to fulfill what I feel is my purpose here of making a positive impact on others, which every day my eyes open, that's my sole purpose, to do my best throughout the day to make a positive impact on others. And if I can do that, I'm happy. So help me to get these messages out there by sharing this out there far and wide, and keep taking action. And like I said, stop allowing fear be the main driver of your life. Live life fully. Live life, not exist in fear.